Okay, so take one. This is my assignment one from Mr. Matt Worthy, to take video of something that I love. So I will give the caveat right now that I do not enjoy this. It's weird, and yeah, it's uncomfortable. So here I am stretching my wings, and you can hear the water. I'll show you where I'm at. I'm watching some water just like kind of lap up on to see if I can show you over there's a block. Anyway, yeah. So I'm hanging out by some water, and it's perfect because that was what I wanted to talk about, was water and the significance of it, the technology of it. For me, it is something that is core universal law. When the word went out, it went out over the water, and that was the blueprint of how to create everything, in my understanding. And it's really about having an understanding of how to use that technology of water and utilizing that technology with intent, responsibility, and free will to create change in this paradigm in a quiet undertow where people don't have to die. And we can change things with only 2% of us. So that's what I wanted to share, with the beauty of water and the tool that it is, the gift that it is, where it allows us to reclaim our co-creative, inherent God being within ourselves by co-creating. And doing that is related to reprogramming the molecular structure of the water intentionally, using our free will and using that technology responsibly for the well-being of the entire planet, of every single human, including ourselves. And that's actually where it starts, is within ourselves, because you have to be the change, right? That's what they say. Seems pretty significant, pretty real. And to me, what that translates in terms of water is the fact that we are water. And that was the only thing that Spirit touched, was the water when that original vibration went out, as far as I am aware. And so, to me, that's a level of intimacy that Spirit is willing to have with us if we're willing to have it back. And I am always in an effort of practice for that. I'm going to take a walk because it's kind of loud. I feel like I have to shout. I'm not liking that. So we're going to walk up here. Anyway, I am going to continue to talk. And I'm just going to talk about water, because that molecular structure and the ability to reprogram the water with our thoughts, intention, our voice, our mind, the magnetism, the frequencies that we emanate from those points, allows it to have a stronger resonance within the water. Like, if you think of it like a ripple effect, it could be your ripple effect. And the other piece of that is, if you do that intentionally from a place of love, where you're like in the ushy-gushy kitten baby, I love you, like you want to cry kind of love, because you feel so joyful, so happy, that kind of love. And then you set your intention using your mind, using your heart, using your voice, using your will, and grounding into the earth, into Unchimaka, to grandmother, to give you that support, So like there's an anchor grounding you and holding you into the ground. And when the waves come on top of you on that superficial level, they won't rock you so hard if you have a deeper foundation and that anchor into the earth. And that comes from having a relationship with nature and birds. And for me, what that looks like is just paying attention to your garden. Like this week, I saw the tongue of a bee. It was amazing. I've never seen anything like that before. And it was just because I was in the moment, looking at my garden, appreciating the flowers, looking at these bees doing what they do. And it was awesome because I got to see something I've never ever seen before, and I loved it. I felt like I got a treat for that, for paying attention in that moment. It was awesome. So back to water and reprogramming it and having that co-creative ability, that God ability, since we're made in that image, right? That's the image that we're made in. So that's what we're designed to do, is co-create. How do we do that? Well, what about if we follow the original blueprint of that frequency moving out over the waters? What if we start that frequency from within ourselves and hone in and have that relationship with our own water, with the water that we are, and appreciate, realize, and commune with the entity that it actually is, the consciousness that it is? What if that is our intuition? What if the water is that inner voice, that knowing? What if that information that's stored in that Akashic Records or in the vacuum that is in the molecule of every single water out there, like that molecular structure, the way that that is set up, everything is recorded through the water because water has memory. And the proton has been proven to be infinite, the vacuum, a void. So since the electron, this is my personal theory, because I like to play with ideas, what if when we choose, we set that ring of electrons, we stop that motion, and that locks in those rings. That goes into the proton, gets recorded in the vacuum, shoots back out as a tachyon because it has to slow down to light speed to fit into this dimension, and then hits that electron ring again, and that creates the ripple effect. Just saying, could be. That's my thought on it. And yeah, if I could copyright a video, I'm going to copyright that. So those choices that we make, that's where our free will comes in. Because every micro decision, whether it's how we think about ourselves or how we think about somebody else, we are still programming their water, and you're either building or deconstructing something. You're either constructing it or tearing it apart. So what is it that you do with your voice, with your thoughts, with your intentions, and your will? Are you building up? And these are just kind of like markers for me that I look at, like how that oneness is relative to me in a moment-to-moment basis. We're all one. Everybody knows we're all one, but what does that actually mean? How do I make that personal? How do I participate in the consciousness of that? And for me, it comes down to water. Because I know that with every thought, with every breath, with the humidity that leaves out of my mouth, there's a molecular structure that's leaving with it, emanating from me. And it's a practice to realize and understand that you are constantly participating and creating and being a piece of the web. That is the world. So how are we affecting the world? How are we affecting our own molecular structure? Are we creating ease or dis-ease? Because in an aerobic environment, which is a structured, okay, let me back up a little bit. A water molecule has to be structured, which means that it's a hexagon. That hexagon is the shape that fits into your DNA and through your brain-blood barrier and into the intricate places that make you. So if the water that you intake is not structured, then it's not going to make it into those deeper places and nurture you the way that you need to be nurtured and you were meant to be nurtured. So how do you structure it? Well, it's about the reprogramming and the consciousness of the reprogramming and taking a moment with your water and appreciating it. Love and gratitude is a cyclical thing because one is giving and one is receiving. So when you're thankful for the water and you're loving the water, you're creating a relationship. And when you build on that relationship and you start listening in those quiet places, there's so much information, there's so much. Everything that's ever been recorded is there for our access. How do we tap into that? What's your personal practice of tapping into that abundance of information, of knowledge, of understanding? What would that look like if we could just access that? Access mathematics, access anything we want. Where do you want to go? We are co-creators. We are gods. I used to say we were little g gods, but actually that creates a form of separation. I'm not sure of how to place the wording of that. But if I was made by God, then I am a piece of God, having an experience as God. It's really quite interesting. Because if I'm not having judgment and creating dissonance in my water and making my water molecules unstructured, and I don't judge the fact that I am wherever I am in my process and be an allowance of that and be an allowance of everyone around me and just surrender into that, then I can focus on like really actually being in the moment. And that is the bliss. That is the presence that makes eternity in every moment. So, yeah, I mean, I could go on for a long time about water. I'm in love with water. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I would just like to present the question for you. If you're viewing this, to think about all the ways that water has enhanced your life. Whether it be in a pool or hot springs or on a lake or in a hot shower or bath. Think about all the pleasure and enjoyment and fun and beauty that life that has come through water. And really like just sit in that appreciation and gratitude and let your heart open into that. And set an intention, because that water is programmable. Everything around you is programmable. There's nothing that isn't malleable. So if we remember that and we step into our co-creative ability, then there's nothing that isn't possible. And when you're in that space of gratitude, create. What do you want? Because you're in love, and that's the highest frequency that exists. And you're on the super highway, and manifestation will be. And the way that I tell is by the synchronicities and flow and magic that I see in my life on a daily basis, where I find myself giggling because it's so perfect. So just a little playful homework if you're up to it, to love and appreciate your water and ask some questions, set your intention, and watch the magic unfold. Thanks.